So there's just this random cat that jumped my leg, or my leg. It's not my cat, but I do have a cat. All right. Would you mind if I record it?
No.
Sure.
Okay.
Got a 5-minute timer.
All right.
How you doing? I'm Ty.
I'm Bill.
This is actually my first time in the Arboretum doing this, but I've been doing it around Lexington. I also did do it as a hobby around Knoxville. Just have conversations about anyone, or to anyone, about anything that they find motivating, anything they're certain about, anything that they think is true. Do you have anything like that?
I'm not certain about a lot.
Okay. Maybe that's the best way to be.
Yeah.
What's your name again?
Bill.
Bill? Ty?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, I guess if I were going to have a conversation, it would be, I read a lot of philosophy books. And,
Okay, yeah.
And I'm interested in the nature of things, and so that would be what I would find interesting.
Do you have a philosopher that's particularly your favorite right at the moment?
Well, actually, I just read a book that was a kind of a brief history of philosophy, and I'm not really educated in that, but
Sure.
just as I've gotten older, I found it as interesting because you try and make sense of things.
Sure.
And there are all kinds of conventional avenues. You can have religion, or
Yeah.
you can have some kind of social order, but you really have to figure it out for yourself.
In your opinion, what do you think figuring out things for yourself is the best method to come to like a true conclusion on something?
I think it requires you to take responsibility for what you think if you study it.
Okay.
Otherwise, for example, if you belong to an organized religion, it's pretty much mapped out for you.
Yes.
And so I've found in observation that people don't really give it much thought.
True.
And with the kind of times we live in now, I think it's really complicated, especially for people who are much younger than I am. I'm 73.
Oh, wow.
And
you don't look a day over 46.
Oh, of course. Well,
I'm getting up there too. I'm 32 right now.
Oh, okay.
And
well, I think people of your age are the ones that are really going to be affected by a lot of the mismanagement that's been done in my generation.
Okay, I see.
And I feel really responsible for that. I was a hippie when I was young, and I'm so disappointed in what the people in my generation have done. They had great ideals, and they sold out for money, and I'm really disappointed in that.
Okay.
But I can understand it.
Sure. Could we talk about the best way to figure out if something's true or not? You had mentioned like some people have like what we now understand as a conventional pathway, like religious ways, or actual study, figuring it out for themselves.
Sure.
What makes one better than the other compared as you understand it?
Oh, I don't think there's a better.
You don't think there's a better?
No, I think that it has to be what you find to be consistent with what makes you happy or what makes you secure.
Can I rephrase that, or can I just say it back to you?
Yeah.
Are you saying that the best way to come to a true conclusion is to find what makes you happy?
Not exactly, because I think there's responsibility. There's more responsibility that goes. If you just make yourself happy, that's pretty selfish. So you have to do it in a way that is responsible to others.
Okay. Could you give me an example?
Well, let's say, for example, I'm concerned that we're consuming too much as a society.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't really matter to me at my age if I pollute the world to death, because I'm going to die. But it wouldn't be...
Everyone is, yeah.
But I wouldn't be responsible if I just kept throwing my stuff out the window when somebody else got to pick it up.
Or you wouldn't feel the consequences.
I wouldn't feel the consequences, but somebody would.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. If you take that on the broader scale, that's what our generation has done. We've just thrown all the stuff out the windows and said somebody else will pick it up.
Okay. How confident are you that that's actually going on right now? Like, as far as like, what methods have you gone through to determine that that's actually what is the case today?
Observation.
Observation?
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah.
That,
Okay.
I mean, all you got to do is see how people behave, and you can see, like, for example, simplest example of all.
Okay.
I think that plastic pollution is the worst threat that we have, aside from too many people.
Oh, that's very interesting.
And here's a statistic.
Okay, please.
Just basic.
Would you mind? Yeah.
Simple, basic plastic bags that you get from the grocery store.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of those are made?
I don't know how many of those are made.
160,000.
I know in my house I have way too
second.
many. In my apartment? Is that where you... 160,000 a second?
A second.
160,000 per second.
Right.
And it's only going to go up.
Do you know how many are recycled?
Very few, I imagine.
Very few.
Do you have a percentage?
No, I don't know exactly.
I imagine it's very low.
And plastic bottles that are used for drinks and so forth. 1 million a minute.
Wow. 1 million a minute.
1 million a minute.
Per minute. Where'd you get these?
I looked it up.
Okay.
I looked it up through a couple of different sites.
Okay.
But that's a pretty standard. I mean, it varies, but that's a pretty standard number.
You put it in a really empathetic or emphatic way, in that, like, this pollution that we're having is occurring at a scale greater than, that probably has ever been.
Yeah.
And at a rate that, if we don't have some means of course correcting that, it can lead to some severe issues.
But it goes back to your point. How do I observe it?
That's what I want to know. Yeah,
okay,
like that's the what. I want to know why you believe that.
Okay, so here. Those are the statistics.
Okay.
We know that those are bad. We see no one that doesn't walk out of the shop with an armful of plastic bags, or that drinks sodas out of plastic bottles. When
we don't see people doing that.
People are not reducing their consumption.
Oh, they're not reducing.
Right, and all we would have to do as individuals is say, I'm not using those anymore.
Sure.
And that would, in itself, just the one small thing would help. It wouldn't solve the problem.
Okay.
But it would mean that person had an individual responsibility for something.
If you had observed people or industries, corporations, laws, for example, being put in place to curb that, behavior,
yep.
What extent of that would you need to see before you could come to the conclusion, based on your criteria, that you're satisfied that we are, in fact, course correcting?
Can't imagine it.
For example, right now, California has banned the use of plastic bags in most of their major grocery store chains.
Right.
And now people have gone to reusable bags, or like these nylon bags
that's what I
use up a lot less plastic. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If more states were to adopt that, along with some other things, what do you think it would take before you realize, oh, here's the point where we've course corrected, here's the part where we've changed? This is where the message.
I haven't thought about that. I don't know. I think it would have to be unanimous.
Unanimous.
Yeah, every state would have to do something.
Okay, every state, North America.
That's I mean, but that's we're just we're the biggest consumer, but the rest of the world is doing it too.
If we'd had developed, maybe perhaps, I'm just spitballing here. Oh, we're out of time. If you need to get
I saw that a long time ago.
Sorry. I get wrapped up in this.
That's okay.
If we had developed, so.
That's good. So now, what is the purpose of your interviews?
Sure. People have things that are okay. So 2 parts. One, I do strongly believe that, regardless of people's backgrounds, you said you're 73? I'm 32, difference in age, probably difference in upbringing, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But we can sit down and have a conversation.
Right.
And I think that's really important.
Yeah.
If anything, it's a demonstration that that's possible.
Okay.
Second is, there's things that every single person who's walking around this track, stuck in traffic right now, believes in, like, very strongly. But whether or not they gave that a lot of time to think about, or to, like, even critically assess why they believe that, or how they came to that belief, isn't something that they may not have put a lot of thought into. And so the 2 goals of this are, 1, demonstrate that people can have conversations with each other regardless of what they look like or where they came from, and 2, give someone an opportunity to consider why they believe something so strongly.
Great.
Did you feel like you got
Absolutely.
any cool feedback?
I think it's a wonderful thing you're doing. Where
Cool.
are you from?
I'm from California originally.
Where?
Salinas Valley area.
Okay.
Uh,
'Cause I've moved all over the country.
Same here, military brat.
I lived in